So did y'all see this week Chris Brown went off again after we were just starting to have our faith and hope restored in this little boy. He came back. The Women of the Real were talking about he and Karrueche on their show, and they didn't go too far into it, but they were just talking about, you know, how women end up dating dudes who they know or maybe don't know that aren't so right for them. Mm-hmm. So Adrienne and Tamar really didn't say much. Really, it was Jeannie Mai who was like, Chris is a bad dude, and I don't know why she keeps messing with him when everyone can see what he's doing to her. But and Tamar actually tried to defend him, but Chris wasn't about it, and he probably didn't watch the whole episode, and so he just took to Instagram and went in on Adrienne Bailon, called her trout mouth. He tried to bring up her sexual past. It was a hot mess. Tamar responded, and then Adrienne eventually responded. Mm-hmm. And then so I'm just wondering what you guys think about Chris Brown and his rant.
I agree that it was childish, and I just feel like Chris has a lot of growing up to do. Even the things that he said and the way he came at them. Yeah. I don't like how he went at Adrienne's sexual past. I mean, whether she was having threesomes or not, if that was a guy, you wouldn't have come at him like that. Right. So I don't think that was cool.
I want to like Chris, but I just feel like every time I start to feel like he's doing better, like I watch his interview with Sway, I watch his interview with Ebro, and every time I feel like, okay, you know, he's growing up, he's maturing, he's taking responsibility for his actions, he comes out with something crazy. I'm like, with your reputation, you can't say, I want y'all to get over what happened between me and Rihanna, but you have these really antagonistic interactions with women. Like, you can't be cussing women out on social media. It's just not cool. And he left it up for hours. Come on.
He's a grown boy. Like, it's like I see him doing things and it's like, you're stupid. Like, stop it. Like, I literally see like my younger brother or something. And I feel like Chris is older than me, but his maturity level is like, you know, it's still in high school. Like,
I feel like this is the first time I've seen him go like so hard for Karrueche. Or more so maybe he was going hard for himself because Jeannie Mai was out here calling him like a bad guy or whatever, but he pretended like it was all for, I guess, for Karrueche. Because really, I mean, he's treated her really bad.
Right.
And, you know, fans of Rihanna, the girl that he, you know, left her for and, you know, went back to, have treated her very poorly since day one. So, I mean, like, it's a rarity that I see him defend her. And, you know, I just feel like that's just really interesting because, I mean, the way you dog each other out every other month when y'all break up, it's just it's like, oh, okay, but nobody else can say nothing about the clear, toxic relationship that you are all sharing with everybody and their mama.
Right.
So, I mean, I just find it, you know, it was very childish.
But I just feel like if I rob a store, I can't be mad if somebody calls me a thief. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have put out literally documentaries about how you were going back and forth between one woman and the next. So why is it out of the realm of possibility that we would speak about this when you yourself have put it out here for content for us to consume? So I don't understand the problem. What's the issue?
Yeah, true.
Speaking of people acting a fool, young Berg this week, charges were filed against him for allegedly, is it still alleged or?
I guess it's a
I mean, y'all know what it is, but allegedly he was attacking his girlfriend, Masika, so the story goes that his credit card was declined and she had to end up taking care of the bill. And she, you know, maybe said something to him about being more responsible with his money. He popped off. So it was like strangling, hair pulling, dragging her through the hotel, all this type of stuff. And apparently she filed charges. So, because the police got involved. So what do you guys think about all of this? Are you surprised that it's young Berg?
You know, it's just a mess. I just feel like people let this reality TV just like really blow their heads up and then they don't even use it in the right way. So all of a sudden we ain't seen you, and the minute you get back in public eye, you using this whole thing to like be beating on women, and now this is what we know you for. Like you're a hot mess.
Well, I mean, Hazel said something interesting yesterday. She said, you know, it's funny how, because she said that he had been aggressive with her too, like in that scene where, you know, she was flipping out on him in the car and he like kind of went back at her. And she was like, it's funny how when you got knocked in the back of your head, when you got your chain snatched by other men, nobody heard nothing from you. But you're so quick to put your hands on a woman, or you're so quick to like, you know, muscle up to a woman, like what's the problem? So, I mean, these are all, at this point, these are still out. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either way. Like, you can clearly see that on the show that he's just a disrespectful person. And what I don't understand is if, regardless of what relationship status him and Hazel E. had or did not have, you could clearly see that it's nothing for him to be disrespectful to a woman. So I didn't understand why all these friends are so willing to jump to be with him.
Well, Masika was the only friend. Tierra kind of was like...
But I mean, like, just women in general, like, what is it?
Right.
What is his it factor? You know?
Right.
That's just what I...
Why isn't Masika even with him?
He's
like this tall.
Why are we gonna act like a lot of these
like
women
feminine.
have like these high standards?
They don't.
They don't. You're semi on. I'm trying to get on.
Now that she's not with what's his name?
Molly
Molly
Mall.
Mall anymore. She's like, okay, let me just keep my storyline fresh and popping and keep it in the Love and Hip Hop family.
And keep it ratchet.
Yeah. So Halle Berry's baby daddy, Gabriel, is back in the news again because he's saying he needs more child support. He wants the payments increased from $16,000 a month because he said that back in 2012, when Olivier, put his hands on him, it took him 6 months to recover and he's had a hard time getting work. But I'm like, that was 2 years ago though, boo. Like 6 months out of 2 years is a fourth of that time. So you had 3/4 of that time to get your life together and get work. But he's saying it hasn't been working out that way, so he needs more money from Halle. I'm just like, okay, you know what? I just don't understand how you could, as a man, fix yourself to say, a man or woman, because the relationship is done. I don't know why you want to keep. It's one thing for you to be getting alimony and getting child support, which I'm not really a fan of. Not child support, but alimony anyway. But it's another thing for you to be like, and I need more. Like, this is what we established. This is what we decided on after months of fighting. Just take your money and go on. If you can't get work, that has nothing to do with me at this point.
Yeah, I just feel like there are a few things that are more disturbing than a man that's trying to live off of a woman, and it may have just been like how I was raised, but that kind of stuff just blows my mind. Because you are out, you're a young, able-bodied man,
white man,
capable of making a living. You have a child looking up to you. Like you want her to grow up and have a man living off of her too?
I think it's not a surprise because Halle just acquired a new lingerie line, and now she's a designer, and so it's kind of like this whole Beyonce's half sister's mom thing. It's like, oh, everybody, Kelly just had a baby, Beyonce has this business, Top Shop, Hove has this, everybody's getting paid, I need to get paid.
You count other people's checks.
Right, so I think it's really just, with him, it just always seems to be like that because, Halle stays working and, every few 6 months or whatever, we just hear him always saying like, I no one wants to photograph my beautiful face. Like, just lose your weight and keep it moving, so.
Yeah, I think it's weird because, people, like we talked about before, people are always saying that, women do this all the time. But to me, I'm always a firm believer in the reality of the fact that this man doesn't have, like, full custody of this child.
Right.
You're not taking care of this child about 80% of the time, like most women do. So that's why, as much child support as folks get, is what they get. Now, as far as them taking it, all these other things or using that money for their own well-being, that's not cool. But for when it comes to men doing that, I mean, it's even worse because we know unless you have full custody, unless you have majority custody, we only see him take her to school. Like, come on, bro. And I mean, you need thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for, how old is she? Maybe like 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Come on now. And at that same token, I'm like, you're saying that I can't get a job because your boyfriend, your husband, and her boyfriend at the time, he's her husband now, punched me and it took me 6 months to go, well, you went over there looking for that ass whooping. So you are in part responsible for that because you were ready for a fight. I'm sure that man wasn't like, oh, let's I'm coming out to house straight to get you,
I think this is going to get really ugly. Because he's not going to give up. Like, as she gets older, it's just going to get more and more outrageous.
Because the desperation's going to kick in. Did y'all see Miss Lena Dunham? Her book, Not That Kind of Girl, just came out. And in it, there are some very disturbing stories that she tells about her sister. In one of the stories, she talks about her sister being 1 year old and Lena is 7. And she talks about opening her sister's vagina to get like 6 or 7 rocks that her sister had placed in there. Then in another story, she talks about being a teenager masturbating with her sister in the bed next to her sleep. The whole thing is just very, 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 very sick, honestly. And people were accusing Lena of being a child, of molesting her sister, of being a predator. And Lena herself, in one of the passages, she said, I would do anything a sexual predator would do. I don't know. Either way, it's just a whole lot of boundary issues going on. And it's just really interesting that Lena Dunham, a lot of feminist sites actually caught a lot of flack because no one said anything about it. Or what they did say something about it, they were defending it. It's like, so it's okay to attack, a Chris Brown, a Woody Allen, a Bill Cosby, but Lena Dunham, because she's a white woman, we can't say anything about her.
Not that I'm defending her or anything like that. I've read some of the book actually, just like a month ago, like a free sample of it. And I think when I looked at it, what reminded me of what I felt like she was trying to go for was like a David Sedaris type comical writing, where it's kind of like you're like actually like bullshitting. A lot of this really didn't necessarily happen. And so to me, the tone of the book is like weird comical like that. And I think the real issue is the fact that if it's true that she put it in the book as if it was nothing. But at the same token, even with the sexual predator thing, I was also thinking maybe she was trying to be silly, like in that David Sedaris way, where you say that goofy, and why don't you do stuff like that sometimes?
I mean, I'm not ready to put her on the stake, or, put her on the cross or anything, but it's just a weird story. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird, and I don't think that we can necessarily like judge someone by what they did as a child. But it's just a little odd. I mean, first of all, how old was the little girl?
1.
How is your 1-year-old sister
No
able to
1-year-old
fit
is putting
multiple rocks in her vagina? In what world does that work? Where does she get the motor skills to do that? How?
Yeah, without injuring herself.
Right. It's all very disturbing, and it just kind of makes me look at her parents and wonder what's happening more so than her.
Yeah.
What was going on.
I think with her parents, because her parents are they're a part of New York City's elitist class, and they're very well known, and they're known for being very free sexually. I think, when you're younger, and I get the whole exploring the bodies thing, but I think once you hit, they sound like they have about 6-7 years between each other. So if you're a teenager and you're masturbating, so you're 16, you're masturbating with your 10-year-old sister, that's very questionable to me, and I wouldn't say it's odd, because if it was a man doing it, we wouldn't say, "Oh, Johnny, that's odd." So I mean, I'm going to watch Girls. Like, I saw the back behind the scenes clips, and I'm excited for the new season, but it does leave an iffy taste in.
Any type of sexual
Just know I don't like
it. I mean, if I was friends with Lena, I wouldn't leave my kids for her. That's all I'm gonna say. Because the way she was defending herself on Twitter, and she was just like, I don't understand why people are making it to be like this is not the norm, and this is the norm in your family, but the average person doesn't get down like that.
But why didn't anybody say even at least okay, Lena, I know you're thinking this is going to be funny, but you can't liken yourself to a sexual predator as a joke.
Right.
That's not funny. It's not okay. You're going to offend people. Hold on. You're going to offend people that you claim to support and advocate for. If you advocate for women who've possibly been victims of rape, why would you jokingly call yourself a sexual predator? It's not funny.